It's been a minute since I've recorded anything. Obviously, given the hairstyle of the video next to this one, it's been a little while. I feel like I have some things to share that first and foremost feel right for me to share in a way to honor parts of me that are no longer existing, to honor parts of me that are dying and get to be released. I believe that value is in storytelling. When we are able to gather and hear each other's stories and hear each other's journeys and be able to witness each other in that space, there's a lot of value in that. Um, if it helps one person, these things that I have no idea what I'm going to share, but I want to share, then it's worth it. It's a very vulnerable space for me because I tend to go away when I'm hurting, when there are things breaking down, when there are things that do not feel good, I do not put them on public display. I think that's very natural. I think we do tend to go away from public view whenever we have breakdowns or upsets or big life transitions. We tend to go into the mountain and do them alone to some degree. And I know that I did that. And yet at the same time, there's been so much transition and I've never really left public view. I still um, navigated and was in my business, and yet I didn't share with people what was going on. So as I'm reemerging and I'm coming out in this new form, this new being, and suddenly I'm just this new person, it feels important to go back and retrace my steps and honor how I got here for me. A mentor once said to me to share from the scar, not the wound. When we speak about our hurt in the wound, we're saying and doing things that don't necessarily align with who we want to be. We're wounded, we're bleeding all over the place. And so there's a tendency to not have clarity, to not say what you mean, to feel what you mean, to do what you mean. It tends to be reactive. So we go away. That's why we go away. We go and we heal. We do what we need to do to suture up that wound and stop the bleeding. Once it cauterizes and scabs over, and then the scar comes in, there's more clarity. There's a hindsight kind of viewpoint of, I can see how that happened. I can see where I come from. And I feel like that's where I am and why I want to do this. So, where I want to start is how 2022 was the best year and the worst year of not only my business, but my life. So let me paint the picture for you. So 2022, at this point, I am 16 years into my business. So well established. People have a perception that I have it all figured out. They have told me often that, you have all the answers, and there's a perception about people when they look successful. And, no, no, that's true. I am as messy in my woundedness as others. So I have some answers. I do my best to walk my talk in the work, but 2022 humbled me to my knees. So it's my best year in my business. Monetarily, I've never made more in my business. I had so many beautiful things going on. My name was getting out there, meeting new clients, having new opportunities. I was in the middle of a year-long program with 40 participants. It was the most participants in any of these year-long programs that I'd done. I had done a total of 11, and this was the biggest by far, because the past programs were like 8 and 12 people, 40 people. So I thought I was pretty hot shit. I thought I was really doing well. I was so excited. I was very grateful. Things were moving. This program, we had decided to take on mentors to help distribute the support through the participants. Like, it was a really good idea. I had brought on my very first assistant. I was so excited. I needed help. I needed someone to kind of help me behind the scenes. I felt amazing. Felt like things were really moving. This trajectory of I was breaking through a ceiling and moving up to the next level. It was very true. I really felt that. I really believed that. On a personal level, I had taken on the goal of dismantling my people pleaser. Every now and then I find parts of me that I'm like, ooh, that's what I'm going to focus on. And so that's what I focus on so that I can heal that facet of my totality. And so 2022 was the year I chose dismantling the people pleaser. Hey, I go big. Okay. This is what's happening. And that's a big conversation because it's not a one and done. It's not a, oh yeah, it's a value issue. I see how I didn't know. People pleaser is deeply embedded in a lifelong journey of trauma and unworthiness and abandonment. I mean, everyone has their own flavorings of what people pleaser is and how it embedded within them. It is not an easy place to just pluck and go, okay, I'm done with that. It's not a box you check when you're done. I'm still working on it. I'm still amazed at all of the layers that people pleaser touches in my life. So all that's going on in 2022, right? Let me just take a breath because it just starts. It's part of why I wanted to share the story, because I feel like there is a part of me dying. And in my haste to hurry up and heal, I think I jumped over some parts pretty quickly to try and get past them, as we do, right? We're human. It feels valuable to go back and honor that part of me. So that's what feels tender today. So there I am in my most successful year of my business. Within the program, it's starting to become awkwardly aware, awkwardly evident that there are people in this inner sanctum of this program that do not want to see me succeed. There are people that I took in as friends that I felt were friends. They said they were friends. Turns out they weren't friends. They were actively working to harm me, to harm my reputation, to harm my business. And they chose the inner sanctum. They weaseled their way in, and they did what they did. Now I'm grateful because having feedback from other participants that I'm close to, they did not notice any of that. They did not see any of the drama. They did not experience any of the harshness of what was going on in the inner sanctum of that program. So I'm really grateful, because that was my people pleaser holding all that shit together. That was what that was. And so here I am, right? Feeling pretty awesome because this is the best year of my life. Dismantling my own people pleaser, which anytime you go after a subject like that, then it's going to fluff up in your face and it's going to show you all the things you're missing. So, duh, like there was so much, there was so much coming to me just in my face. And then I had all this drama. And I've never really been a fan of drama. I've never really been a fan of realizing when friends aren't friends. It deeply cuts my heart. And I don't think I'll ever change that. I don't think I'll ever harden enough to where that doesn't hurt me. I do not understand it. I mean what I say. I love who I say I love. And there's no games around that. And I do not understand when there are games. It deeply betrays me. So that's that. So all of this is going on, and I am trying so incredibly hard to hold it together, where the people pleaser is just holding it so tightly to try and maintain some level of decorum that I want. I wanted this. I'm wanting this to be held together. But with all of it going on, and then my people pleaser crashing around it, I could not sustain. And so what I started noticing is that or maybe it's more of a hindsight recognition, I was in fight or flight more than I was not. I was running on fight or flight energy, trying to keep all of this even. Now, in trauma speak and nervous system speak, like there is a range of, it's a window of peak performance, a window of a healthy range of what it means for your nervous system to play back and forth between those levels. The upper level is sympathetic. It is where we are active and joyful and we have a lot of energy and we can get a lot of stuff done. And like that's the peak. And then it will come down into parasympathetic. Parasympathetic is where we rest, we sleep, we digest, we regenerate, we heal, we come back for more, and we go up and down every day, right? To be in fight or flight, thank goodness we have fight or flight, because fight or flight helps us act quickly when there's danger, to get out of a situation really quickly, to either fight that situation or flee from that situation. And so that is a very natural state to have in short bursts. It's supposed to be there. Fight or flight is what saves our lives when there is real danger. When one gets stuck in fight or flight, you go above that range, that healthy upper range of sympathetic, and you get stuck in a loop. And it goes around and around and around. And if you can imagine holding like a 50-pound bag of flour, and you're just holding it, and you're holding it, and you're holding it, and your muscles start to ache and cramp and hurt until finally they collapse. They cannot hold that bag of flour anymore. So for months being in fight or flight, not to mention my whole life, because trauma, right? This year was the exacerbating energy that it really held me in that fight or flight. So let me just pause around that and breathe. Being held in that fight or flight is where things got real messy. It's where I couldn't make everyone happy. My people pleaser was on overwhelm. She could not do enough. It didn't matter what she did. People weren't happy. I feel a lot of sorrow right there. When one is in sympathetic overwhelm, when I was in sympathetic overwhelm, I made a lot of decisions that were really, really bad. I said things, I did things, I reacted to things. I was not the person that I thought I was or that I wanted to be. It was real messy. And, we're human, we're going to make mistakes. But part of being a private person is when I make mistakes, not a lot of people see it because I'm by myself healing it. It's not on display. And here I am in the biggest year of my business, having no safe space to collapse. I had no safe space to be wrong, to make mistakes. I was given no grace. I was given no grace. And I take full accountability because there are a lot of things that I'm just not proud of. Just not proud of. So owning that, learning from that, growing from that, and moving on from that to try and be a better person. Towards let me just feel all that and see if that feels complete in that area. So while all this is happening, I'm losing friends left and right, friends, right? The people that said they were friends. Yeah. While they're weaseling in and hurting things and talking and gossiping, and there's just so much shit. I am bleeding all over the place with my trauma. Without a safe space to do that. No safe space. No sanctuary. No one offering grace around that. And I repeat that because I'm realizing that right now. I'm like, oh, I'm required to show grace to people. I wasn't receiving it back. So I feel like that's just kind of settling right now. All right. So what happens when you're in sympathetic overwhelm and you're in a loop, and you're holding that 50-pound bag of flour, your muscles are shaking and they're aching and they're starting to not be able to have the dexterity, the strength, and the stamina to hold that. So what happens is sympathetic overwhelm then goes well below the line of parasympathetic rest rejuvenation, goes well beyond it into parasympathetic collapse. Literally, your muscles just collapse. They cannot hold it anymore. So parasympathetic collapse can look like a lot of different things. It can look like depression. It can look like burnout. It can look like suicide ideation. There can be a lot of different things that parasympathetic can create, or parasympathetic collapse can create, depending on the person. For me, what showed up was burnout. So as the end of the year is coming, the end of the calendar year, but also the end of the program, where I just can't hold this together anymore. And I'm like, oh, there's the finish line. If I can just make it, if I can just make it, I'll be okay. But it didn't. My nervous system collapsed somewhere mid-November, beginning of November, something like that. And then it was there for 14 months, give or take. So in reflection, because I think I want to do another video on the actual burnout. I think I want to talk about that in its own Yeah. And its own part. I think what I walk away with from that year is truly understanding that I am not responsible for anyone's emotional well-being. I am not responsible if anyone is enjoying themselves or liking what I'm doing or getting out of it what I want them to get out of it. I think what I truly walk away with is I am simply here to offer. I am here to, like, I will do my part. I will receive the intuition. I will create the container. I will own the safe space. I will do my research. I will build the program. I will uh, send you what you need. I will hold you safely in that space. I will present the information as best as I can. But what one does with that is their job. That is where the line ends. And so, where it is the hardest year, I walk away with so much nutrition from that experience. So, let's continue with part two. I'll come back. Um, I'll share my experiences through burnout. I feel like burnout's not talked about enough. I think there's a lot of misconception around what it means to be in burnout that I kind of want to shed some light on for people. Again, in the hopes that it resonates. Maybe you'll feel seen, maybe you'll feel understood and heard, because I do think that there's a lot of misinformation around burnout and what it is and what it isn't. And so we'll do part two. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you. Do all the things we know, like, share, comment, whatever you feel inspired to do. I would love that. You can share in the comments what touched you the most about this video. I would love to hear your feedback. Where do you feel seen? Where do you feel heard? Where does it resonate with you? And then obviously questions. If you have any questions around anything, I'm happy to answer them. See you next time.